Hi there, this is Renee Jewell. I'm blind, and welcome to my kitchen table and my journey through Carcinosarcoma. So pull up a seat and let's get started. So I like to start each video with letting you know that I am blind. So if I'm not exactly making eye contact or maybe not even in the camera, please give me some grace. I thought today I would talk about my hysterectomy. I touched on it in my previous video in my journey through how I was diagnosed. I want other women to know what a robotic hysterectomy looks like. That's the kind of hysterectomy that I received. On December 22nd, 2025, I had my hysterectomy. My oncologist was hoping that we could do it mostly or all the way robotically. And what this is, they actually use a robot and the surgeon controls it through the computer. I received 5 incisions in my upper abdomen and a little above my belly button. After the surgery, there was glue on these incisions. And in my particular case, I had a cesarean scar from the birth of my son in 1994 that the surgeon needed to use because my tumor was so large. The tumor was the size of a Nerf football, so those tiny incisions that he made to kind of cut everything loose with the robot in hopes of pulling it out vaginally, that was not going to work. So after my surgery, I wanted to let you know what to expect, at least in my case, and from what I've read, it seemed to be pretty common. And this is not medical advice, it's just my experience, so you can kind of understand what it might be like. So the first thing that I was really surprised by after surgery for the first couple of days was the gas pain. Who knew the gas could get up in between your shoulders, and it literally felt like I had slept wrong on both sides of my lower neck area, kind of between my shoulder blades, and it was just very uncomfortable. I also had some bloating, and I would say just general discomfort in my abdomen after the surgery. If I had to characterize it pain-wise on a scale of 1 to 10, I would have put the gas pain at the 8 and the incision pain, even in the cesarean scar, maybe at about a 5. So they give you narcotics and prescription strength Tylenol and ibuprofen, and I was able to manage the pain. I also took Gas-X, and that helped to alleviate the gas symptoms. I didn't have much appetite after the surgery, I'd say for about 3 days, but I kind of forced myself to eat, and from what I researched, you eat for nutrition, not for satiety. So I tried to find healthy foods and eat to keep myself strong. The first couple of days, it was most comfortable to actually sleep sitting up in my lazy boy chair, as this helped me to breathe and it alleviated the pain in my shoulders. I'm big into yoga, and the surgeon said he didn't want me doing a bunch of yoga after the surgery, but I did some mild walking and just barely raising my arms above my head and just moving my body, and this helped to dissipate the gas. I didn't like the narcotics because I felt they constipated me really badly. So after the first couple of days, I stuck with the Tylenol and acetaminophen and continued to exercise by walking, just doing some gentle stretches of my legs and arms, and things began to get better. So by Christmas, when we had the family over, I still was having some pain, but not excruciating, and just was tired. By about a week after the surgery, I was beginning to feel more myself. My appetite was back. Things were getting, I would say, maybe tight on my stomach, and the glue was starting to come loose on my stomach. By the second week, felt even more myself, a lot of the bloating gone. Many of the incisions, the glue had fallen off. And by the third week, which is this week, I really am starting to feel myself. All the glue is gone. There's still some puffiness, but not bad, which is normal from what I'm reading. Again, not medical advice around the incisions. I know that I needed to look for any kind of drainage or bleeding or hotness in the area. I never had any issues with that. And even the scar where my cesarean is, where he had to take some of the tumor out, is healing very, very nicely. So I wanted you to just kind of know what the hysterectomy was like. And as I briefly mentioned in the last video, when they do a hysterectomy for this carcinosarcoma, not only are they taking out, or in my case, took out my uterus, cervix, ovaries, tubes, they were also looking for spread. And my pathology report stated they looked in my omentum, so they biopsied that during surgery, and that's just taking a piece of the tissue. It's kind of a fatty tissue over your intestines to see if that had cancer. They did an an abdominal wash, which that's saline solution they pump into your abdomen, and they kind of test that to see if there's cancer cells. And then sentinel node biopsy. So they take some of your lymph nodes to test is there cancer in them. And it took about 2 weeks to get my results. And I found out there was no spread outside my uterus. However, I was staged at 1B. So with this cancer, it tends to grow in the muscle. There's something called a P53 mutation, which makes the cancer very biologically aggressive, and it's also in the epithelial cells. So this combination makes this cancer aggressive. So my oncologist feels that chemo is the best route because you just have no way of knowing if cancer is floating around somewhere in your body. So hopefully this helps. I found the experience of my hysterectomy to be bearable. I'm not going to say it was easy. There was days that when I tried to get out of bed or turned over in bed, I felt like a turtle laying on a shell on his back. It just felt uncomfortable to move around. But now 3 weeks out, I'm healing and I'm ready for the next step, which is going to be my port placement. And I'll do a video on that. And then after that, chemo will start January 22nd, 2026. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, could you please subscribe and hit like? And my reasoning is because when you do, this helps other women to find us on this channel, and if they're going through carcinosarcoma, maybe they can also find some help, comfort, and a few laughs along with us. So let's all stay carcinosarcoma strong, and I'll see you next video.